everyone, welcome to a new Scratch tutorial. Today, we're going to learn how to have fun using the pen extension. So first, click on the block plus sign icon and pen to get the pen extension. And it grants us 9 new blocks which we can use in our Scratch program. We will learn about each of them. First, the erase all block just erases all the drawings on screen. We'll get back to this later when we've, actually drawn some stuff. Next is the stamp block. The stamp block creates a copy of the sprite, but it's not movable, it's just there. As you can see, this is the draggable movable sprite, live sprite, and this is just the dead stamp that I can't move. Stamps are not clones. There is no when I start as a stamp, and they just stay there once they're stamped there. However, stamps can be created infinitely, meaning there's no 300 stamp limit. You can create as many stamps as you want. Stamps are always placed exactly where the sprite that placed them is. So if I went here and then stamped, now we have another stamp there. Okay, now we can slightly jump back to the erase all block. If I click it, it erases all the stamps. Okay, now the pen down block. To understand how pen down and pen up work, we have to understand how pen is supposed to work. Pen works by, whenever you move around, it's supposed to draw under you. This happens if the pen is down. So right now, if I choose to move around, since the pen is up, it won't draw anything. However, if I use pen down, now all of a sudden it will start drawing a beautiful, nice to have trail behind itself. And it will draw wherever I want it to go. As you can see here, it draws it here as well. When we want to stop drawing within the code, in this case we'll just click it from outside, we can do a pen up. Let's see what happens. So it's drawing, but then we hit pen up. Now the pen is up and it'll not draw. Okay, now the set pen color to block will just set the pen color. So right now we've been only coloring in blue, but we can set a new pen color, and we have to put our pen down, and then, ta-da! We have now a new pen color, a brown pen color. Pretty cool, right? And there's a million different colors that you can set it to. No joke, 100 times 100 times 100 is actually a million. And you can set it to any of those. This is just a nice little gray color, and as you can see over here, it will draw that. I can also set it to be red if I like that idea. And you can set it to pretty much anything that you want. But if it is the same color as the background, it may blend in, so you have to be careful of that stuff. But you can set it to whatever you want. The next block is the change pen color by block and set pen color to block. Actually, you can change pen color by 4 attributes. So there's 4 attributes of pen: color, saturation, brightness, and transparency. We'll go over them one by one. Changing the pen color basically just changes it by numerical amount. So now the color will be different. So it'll be the equivalent of setting it to 22. So if I set it to this, then I did this, and then I did this, it would be a lime color. It's basically a way to adjust the pen color. So if I change pen color from cyan by 40, it would go to 87, like this. Going beyond 100 just causes it to loop around. So if I did 65 plus 100, it would just go 165 and then loop back to 65. So you can change the pen color like that using a number and within code without having to manually change it here. Changing the color saturation will basically do the same thing as changing the saturation. Reducing the saturation will make it more whitish. Colors won't be as distinguishable, and different colors won't look much different. The more saturated it is, the more overall beautiful it'll look, and the more different colors you can have. So if I change the pen saturation by -50 and set it here, let's see what happens. Basically, it has become more whitish. If I set the pen saturation to 100 and the set pen color attribute to 100, just sets it instead of changes it. It's the exact same thing. But now, as you can see, it's fully there. It's not half transparent. Speaking of transparency, we also have a transparency feature, which basically does the same thing as reducing the saturation, but you increase it instead of reduce it. So the more transparent something is, the more whitish it'll be. So as you can see here, if I set this to 100, now it'll be completely white, so we won't be able to see it on this background. But if it was a gray background, we would indeed be able to see it. If I set this to 50, now we can only half see it, similar to the saturation reducing thing. Now we have brightness. Brightness is basically the equivalent of changing it through here. A lower brightness will make it more blackish, and a higher brightness will make it, well, whiter, I'm assuming will happen. So as you can see here, it is completely white now. But if I reduce it by negative 100 and I do that twice, yep, it goes a bit darker. It's kind of black now. So that's how those two blocks work. Now, all the lines so far are super thick, or thin. However, that changes right now because we can set the pen size in the code. Right now, it's 1 pixel thick, and that's the default. But if we set it to 10 now, boom, our line is super thick. And wow, now we can see how dark it is, truly. Ooh, pretty nice. It's really nice to actually have it be thick now, after all these thin lines. And good news, you can make it as thick as you want. You can't make it a negative thickness or 0 thickness. It can be anything 1 or beyond, but it can be as big as you want. Yup, you can make it literally as wide as the Scratch Cat and no problems happen. And you can make it as wide as you want. No warning though, if you're making it too big, might just make it shake up the entire screen. Yep, it happened. It just takes up the entire screen if you make it too big. So be careful of that. Okay, so that's how all the blocks, block by block, work. However, now I'm going to show you how you can use this pen block to have lots of fun. There's actually lots more you can do than you may think. Okay, let's start off with some good practices with pen. It's always a good practice to start pen projects with erase all and pen up, so that your pen doesn't, randomly move around when you set your position. And every Scratch project, it's a good practice to, for in each sprite, go to a certain X and Y position and point in direction 90. Okay, then we can in this case, we'll just keep the pen up, and then forever go to our random position and stamp. What do you think this will do? I'll give you 6 seconds to think about it, and you can pause the video and then continue if you need more time. Tick, tick, ding, ding, ding. Okay, this is what happens. It basically continuously goes to a random position and stamps, meaning it creates an infinite amount of Scratch Cat clones. Note that none of these can be dragged or controlled once they're stamped, but it looks awesome still. And something that may be even cooler is if we do pen down before the forever loop. And okay, well, right now it doesn't look very cool because we set it to infinite size, but look at this. Now we have Scratch Cats firing lasers at each other because every time it goes to a random position, a pen draws behind it. To make it more apparent, I could set it to a higher number. And now it's even more apparent that they're shooting lasers at each other. Literal laser beams are being shot here. The reason it's happening is because every time it teleports to a random position, it drags the line between. So you have many lines. Okay, but that's not all the fun we can have here. We can make it colorful lasers by just changing the pen color. Okay, looks great. But the fun doesn't end there. To make it have more variety, we can make the amount it changes by random. Maybe less. Maybe we can make it so that it changes by a little less. Or if you think that changing it is not what you want, you can set it to a random value. Note that you may need some tweaks depending on, like as you can see here. Oh, it also works. Another great thing you can do is set the pen size to a literal random amount. Okay, 100 may be too much, but 15 is definitely a nice one. And of course, you can always set pen saturation to 100 to keep it saturated and colorful. And, well, the amount of stuff you can do with this just goes on and on. I mean, I'm sure there's some other pen features that you can add to make it look even better. For now, though, I'll just keep it at this. Actually, there's another thing I can think of where you can set the brightness to 100. Well, I'll let you guys do the rest and just continue your imagination. That's all these final projects are for. Another thing you could do is, well, you'll see. The idea is you can create like a slowly fading, expanding bubble. Oh, and that doesn't sound very nice looking at first. It actually looks a lot nicer than you may think. So first we just have to start with a basic color. And then we set the pen brightness to, or transparency to 0. Well, that means it'll be completely not transparent. You'll not be able to see through it. And, well, we can set the pen size to 1, change pen size by 1 every time, and then change pen transparency by 1 every time. Now let's see what happens. Oh, it doesn't do anything because we put the pen up. And as you can see here, it increases and then eventually fades out. This looks pretty nice. At least I think it does. And if you would like it to expand faster, maybe use some math to expand at a better rate and create a better shape, you can do that. Like, I guess I can do just a little bit more where if it gets to a certain size, we do it less. Like, maybe it only goes half of the amount, so in that case, we'd need some variables. And, I mean, I guess that would be a bit, maybe that would be a bit too complicated. But, I mean, I could just do it, just why not? So what we do is essentially is we only slowly fade the brightness, so we change it by negative, like it would be very complicated. But I guess what we could do is like something very, very similar to, basically we just make it so that as it goes on, it fades slower and slower and slower, just because it could result in some fun stuff going on. So, oh, that is not good. But basically, it would just kinda, okay. We need, but I mean, it's you can do pretty much what you want with this. Okay, now it'll slowly. Oh no, that was too slow. So yeah, balancing it out will take some time. And I'm going to make more pen creations in the future if you're interested in that. But I'd also recommend trying some of it out yourself, because that would be really fun if you're interested in it. And yeah, I'd say that makes a much better gradient fizzing out. And these funny gradients and laser cats are only a tiny little portion of the stuff that you can do. Let's go back to the laser cat one. Or wait, where did the laser cats go? Oh, oh. Oh, yeah, I think what happened is that the pen has to be down. Or the pen is down. Yeah, there will be some debugging errors, but it will usually work. Yeah, just right now it just suddenly isn't working. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss a single tutorial.